Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to an episode of my F1 2018 career mode, episode number 130 today for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix in Season 7. If you guys did miss the previous one, then be sure to check that one out before you see this one. But heading to this episode then, we've got a very interesting performance shot to look at, because if we look at the bottom there, Williams have improved enough that Scuderia Ferrari, the Ferrari Works team, are the worst car, the worst team on the grid. Absolute scenes. Ferrari were the top team, or, you know, in the top two for like 3, 4 seasons, 5 seasons even, from season 1 to 5, and now they've really taken a turn for the worse, even more than Mercedes ever did. You know, Mercedes at the time was crazy enough that they downturned into a kind of solid midfield team for a few seasons from season 2 to 5, but Ferrari, from the top 2 teams after I left them, they just crumbled apart down to like the 3rd worst, then 2nd worst at the very back end of last season, and now they are officially the worst team on the grid, at least for this race. Obviously they could improve straight away next episode, or at least in the European season come back, but for now they are the worst team on the grid going into the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, which is pretty insane to think, and it obviously solidifies the goal that Vasseur talked about at the very start of this season. He emailed us obviously and said, you know, they want to solidify Alfa Romeo Sauber as a brand of its own, away from being a Ferrari junior team that brings young talent through and more of just a through and through title challenger and its own outfit. And I'm sure Alfa Romeo, the bosses, will be very, very happy with that, because that's what they've got. We are the top Ferrari-powered team, basically. You can see we're into Q2, and Ferrari nowhere to be seen even on that page then, and they're going to be pretty damn slow around here. So we're making it into Q2, and it's all high spirits, actually. I think our car should go quite well. Like I mentioned at the very end of last episode, because we've maxed out this car now. If you did miss last episode, you wouldn't have seen, obviously, but we did max out the car last episode. So basically now it's a case of the performance of the car will depend on how the car goes track to track, almost kind of like real life. And in real life, this car, the Sauber car, did go very well around Azerbaijan. So I was looking forward to this one and hoping we could do well. Leclerc goes fastest of all in Q2, so that was quite promising, and actually a little bit worrying for me that I was a little bit off the pace of him. So I need to try and buckle up now in the top 10 shootout and do the best job I can. At the moment, everyone's set one lap. I've gone in the middle of the session. Leclerc is actually on provisional pole position right now, so that's amazing in itself. So far, so good for us on our lap. I thought it was a pretty tidy one up till now. Very clean, not going over the curbs too much. The car did seem pretty good, actually, compared to what we had at China. The car felt so much more stable, which, like I said, obviously might have been expected to, as the real-life car was very good around here, and obviously a bit of a rocket ship. The Alfa Romeo Sauber car has been in a straight line, and as we go down the motorway highway on the pit straight, and basically we can't do much apart from just sit here and just try and get across the line, and it's going to be P3 for now then, behind Fernando, Alonso and Verstappen there, so that's pretty damn awesome for us. Leclerc, Alonso and myself, but everyone's going out now for one last lap. I do not have enough time there. 1 minute 25 was not enough, unfortunately, so a little bit of bad timing for me, to be fair, but I was pretty confident still. 1st and 3rd right now. Very, very good result there. This would be for our team, but again, it strikes again. We go to black, come back out at the end of Q3. Leclerc gets knocked off pole. It's a 1-2 and a lockout for Renault. Once again, surprise, surprise. Fernando Alonso on pole, Sainz in 2nd place. But the bigger thing is I'm all the way down to P9. I went from P3 to P9, and everyone improved so much so that I'm way off the pace of Leclerc. So that is not my actual pace. I think we could have gone faster. I think we could have matched Leclerc and been, you know, up there in like P4 or P5 at least minimum. I don't think I could have beaten him, because he was very good around his 1 lap pace, but I could have been up there. So that's really unfortunate. I'm going to have to make a bit of a comeback now in the first stage of the race and then see what we can do on the strategy. But I know the car clearly has some pace, so I'm not too worried. It's just about trying to make it a clean start and actually just not get held up in too much traffic. So let's go to that grid and then see how we do.
Good afternoon and welcome to Baku. This was the arena, if you think back to 2017, of one of the most eventful races of modern history, with controversy behind the safety car, last-second overtakes, and a historic podium for Williams and for Lance Stroll. So let's find out what lies in store for us this year. It's time for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. With 20 turns and a length of 3.7 miles, Baku City Circuit in the heart of the Azerbaijan capital is a real test of a driver's endurance, patience and precision. 90-degree corners through Sector 1 lead into a tightening uphill sprint as we start to circle around the old city. Then a 1.4-mile chase flat out through Sector 3 towards the finish line. Anthony Davidson is alongside me as usual for the race today. Let's talk about the engineer. That was a solid result in their last race. Can they keep that momentum going this weekend?
There are never any guarantees in this business, but certainly the performance last time out would have boosted their confidence coming into this one.
So now let's have a look at the starting grid ahead of this Azerbaijan Grand Prix for this Season 7 of my F1 2018 career mode. And it was a great day in the office once again for the Renault Works team. Fernando Alonso on pole position alongside his teammate Carlos Sainz. In third place, my teammate Charles Leclerc alongside Lewis Hamilton for the second row of the grid. Fifth place is Nico Hülkenberg with Max Verstappen in sixth place. The next row is All Force India. And then the last row of the top 10 is myself and Pierre Gasly. P11, Dan Ricciardo with Van Dorn in 12th. Hartley, Raikkonen, Ocon and Grosjean next with P17 being Lance Stroll, 18th place Magnussen, 19th place Robkin and Sebastian Vettel, my old teammate from Ferrari, in last place with a grid penalty. Let's go to the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Right, so we're in P9, but we know the car is capable of so much better. Teammates done very well in P3. I think we can even take the fight to the Renaults, maybe, if we're lucky. Especially in a straight line, I think our car is just a little bit faster, a little bit more slippery, maybe, with some DRS and getting in that toe as well. So I have to see about that. Strategy-wise, though, we're going to move to what has been a classic now for us at Azerbaijan, which is the one-stop from ultra-soft tyres to the softs. So initially, we'll be a little bit slower, maybe, at the very end of the ultra stint, because the tyre wear is really going to kick in. But then having track position on the soft tyre, which is quite a consistent tyre. It's not a great tyre, to be honest. It doesn't feel too good to be on around Baku, but it is a very consistent tyre in terms of holding up with tyre wear. It's only going to be really bad right towards the end, so hopefully the track position can hold out for us and we can try and jump some of our rivals around us in the top 10 here. But as I said, we're just moving forward, hopefully, and not backwards, knock on wood. But here we go then to 5 red lights to the Azerbaijan Grand Prix here. Round number 4 of Season 7, this career mode. 5 red lights are out and we're underway. Waiting an absolute age for those lights to go out, and it's a good start for us. We just about cut into the inside there, making a little bit of a lub tap on the Force India car, but then a great brake zone for us into turn 1 and down the inside of not only Sergio Perez, but also our old teammate Max Verstappen there from last season, the Red Bull Honda team, and we're up into P6. Up ahead is the 2 Mercedes cars, Hülkenberg, Hamilton, and then side by side as Charles Leclerc, our current teammate, and Carlos Sainz. There's Fernando Alonso, surprise, surprise, leads the way and is trying to waltz away, and Leclerc is trying to do his best job to try and hound and hassle Carlos Sainz for second place. Unable to make it work. He's down to P3 and slots in there just ahead of Lewis Hamilton, but a good getaway at least, and it's good to see he had a go. So hopefully now on this, what is obviously the M25, M40, M1, all the motorways in the world, I like to call it, because it just is literally a motorway of like 5-6 lanes here, and you do nothing but sit in a straight line and try and move either to the left or right lanes, depending on which country you're from, for the overtaking lane. And we get up into now what is P5 ahead of Nico Hülkenberg. I'm not afraid of the Mercedes cars. We should have them today. But meanwhile, the real question is, can Leclerc actually do this and properly overtake Carlos Sainz? He's trying again for the second time now on the outside. Sainz again goes defensive, but these two going side by side for this long now might just hold up both of them enough where myself and Hamilton can close up and might make this a four-way fight, because they're still at it again at the next major break zone there. Leclerc once again on the outside. Now he's on the inside for the next corner, and so he gets a much better run actually, but the traction is there with the Renault Works car, and the Mercedes of Hamilton is closing up so much, and we're closing up. Look at this, we cut back onto our POV there. We've caught up exponentially. Those two are still going at it side by side. Surely Leclerc will have to cut in, yes he will, into the castle section, otherwise that might just be pure suicide, to be honest, trying to make it side by side in the castle section. But we are so close now, so we should be able to overtake Hamilton maybe in the next lap as we move on towards lap 3, and then we can look on towards maybe try and chasing after our teammate and also Carlos Sainz. But first of all, we have to actually make sure we get this pass done on Hamilton. We close up there. No DRS actually is obviously not activated actually yet, as we are in the slipstream across the line up into P4. Hamilton though will come back at us with a darting brake zone there, and so side by side we have to squeeze them out and literally brushing tyre wall faces there on the right hand side, but eventually up into P4. Little lockup, that's fine, as maybe need to worry a little bit. He's still there with a proximity arrow, and just about I maybe can see him on the left mirror. The right mirror completely covered up by the heads-up display. He's actually going to go for a pass now. Dive bombs it down the inside. We're a little bit weak in the brake zone there, and here he has another pop, but we're going to maintain that and defend that position successfully and just maintain this P4 as we now chase after Leclerc and Carlos Sainz, who made contact. Sainz is round Leclerc with the tyre off, and there's a major crash right ahead of us there in Sector 3. Leclerc out of the Grand Prix. I'm pretty sure that's Carlos Sainz at the Grand Prix as well. But we've been gifted up into P2. Such a crazy incident there. It's Carlos Sainz goes for a 360 spin there with a puncher, and Leclerc just comes and completely T-bone punts him there. But a very odd incident there at Baku, and surprise, surprise, Sector 3 seems to be where it all kicks off at Baku sometimes. But yeah, puncher for Sainz, that spins him round mid-circuit, and Leclerc is far too near to him to even avoid him, I'm guessing. I think he was very close to trying to make a pass, maybe. As you can see there, very spectacular scenes right there. I've never seen a car spin round like that with a puncher on this game so far. And Leclerc straight out the Grand Prix then with the left front tyre sheared off there. So that's maybe 2 DNFs, or just 1, because we've still got 19 people apparently, according to the indicator on the top left there. So very odd. I think Sainz is still in this. Yeah, he's there. You can see him just there. There he is on the right hand side. He's shredding his tyre, and he's got that puncher still. He's trying to hobble back to the pit lane then. But a very odd situation happened. The game told me that I had an illegal overtake on Sainz, which makes no sense because he's been lapped now. And so I tried to hold up and wait for him, but of course he's going so slow with the puncher. The only way I could have let him back through is if I reverse back on track, which is obviously not going to happen. But I sat there, got a penalty, a 5-place time penalty there. I then got reset on the track because I was sat there, so the game just ghosted my car, reset me to a default position, I guess, on the track. I then get going again, and I think nothing of it, but we still got that penalty then. At the time, I was very confused if I had the penalty still or not because we got reset. But you saw behind me, there was a whole gaggle of about 10 cars there that got parked up behind Sainz because for some reason the game kind of glitched out and thought Sainz was still part of the leading pack and that everyone should stay behind him. So I think what happened there was like 10 AI cars stuck behind him. I did not, obviously, and I got the penalty for it, but by the time I went past, it was too late for me to know that was what was happening. And of course, if I reversed back on track, I probably would have got disqualified if I reversed back. And this is a replay now, what happened. It's very hard to tell what fully happened because every time a car ghosts, you can't go on board with them anymore on the replay camera system. But you can see clearly what is happening here, very, very clearly. 10 cars now just piling up behind this man, going like an absolute turtle. His teammate Alonso has made a pit stop under the safety car. I tried to do that, basically, but obviously I got the penalty then. And so we're going to have to, well, we're not going to make a pit stop because I've already made my stop onto soft tyres. I'm going to the end of the Grand Prix now. So I don't know what the kind of course of action is. Do I get a 5-second time penalty added on to my time? You know, it seemed like it was a stop-go, I think. So I think that might be even more. So I really have no idea now what our result's going to be. Either way, you guys know me. I'm going to push the penalty aside. We're going to just race as hard as we can, and then we'll worry about the penalty right at the end of the Grand Prix. But for now, we have a restart to do, and we're very, very good on the restart there. There you have it. That is a textbook restart there. Get on the power as early as we can, overtake Alonso, and Bob's your uncle. We're up into first place of the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. They're going to go defensive, though, because Alonso is going to come back at us there. So this is the old rivalry reigniting from Season 3 when we're both in McLarens. We're now in 2 different teams, and we're still going at it just like it's Season 3. Alonso on the left, myself on the right. We're going to have to try and make a bit of a dive on the outside there. He's very close on the left-hand side there, Alonso. I was kind of worried for his sake if he was going to put it in the wall, a la kind of Dan Ricciardo. And speaking of the devil, Ricciardo dive bombs out of nowhere, both of us, and Ricciardo, the Aussie in the McLaren, is up into first place now out of nowhere. He's dive bombed us from hell and back on Alonso and myself, forced his way through with the elbows, and he's up into first. Fair play then. The new man in a new car and feeling like definitely a new man right now in this race after the first few not being so fast in the McLaren, but we are going to re-overtake him pretty easily in a straight line up into, well, we'll be back into P1 on lap number 9 as we are. But Alonso now making a huge dive. He's basically done what Ricciardo did, make 2 passes in 1 brake zone there. So what is going on with the AI today with all the dive bombs here, left and right? Alonso now, once again, we're side by side with him. He's got the straight line speed there. No DRS for him or me, but Ricciardo, I think, does have it. We're going to try and get back in his slipstream, tuck in there, go back to the outside, and once again go to the outside, but he locks up very badly, and that could have been very controversial very quickly there if Alonso kept going straight on, because he would have literally punted me into the wall. I returned the favour by squeezing him out quite aggressively there, so no love lost between myself and Fernando Alonso. Obviously, it was quite a heated rivalry in Season 3 and only separated by a mere few points for the championship, so definitely a little bit of bitterness maybe in this fight so far. So here we go once again, having a bit of a dance into turn 1. Alonso round the outside, and we're kind of on the inside now for the next second corner there. The change of strategy my engineer wants to do. We'll have to worry about that later, because still we're trying to keep this position if we can. First place, obviously at the end of the day, I don't know if it will be first place, but I sure want to try and finish in first on the track position at least, so I can actually have bragging rights at least against my my rival. But here we go, round the outside once again for the third time now in this Grand Prix. Seems to be our favourite corner to defend. To the inside, though, this time Alonso has a much better run, and he's going to maintain first place. So, third time lucky, not so much for us there. Alonso does get that. Van Dorn now is up into P3, because I think some people have made some early pit stops now on lap 11. So, me and Alonso are the only two in the top flight that continue on now. And so, as we move on to lap 11, going to try and get back in his slipstream. We should have the DRS here. So, although he did overtake us, and that was a bad moment for us, you know, Baku being Baku, you know, we've seen it time and time again in seasons gone by. It's so easy to make an overtake on the straight if you've got DRS here, because you just sit, you wait patiently, have DRS, and it really is like making an overtake on the motorway in real life. You go on the left-hand side lane there, and we're up into first place then of the Grand Prix once more on lap 12, but the work's not done there, because he's still right behind us, and we're going to have to watch out for that. Into the next corner, we're going to lock up on the right outside tyre. So that's a really bad tyre to lock up on, because we nearly went steaming into the wall, and so now we've been caught off guard. Not the best exit of that corner. Alonso's got a great slingshot on the outside now. We're going to defend to the inside, but it's no use here. Alonso's going to have the better line. We've got on the curbing as well, so the car got unsettled, and he's cut across us, and he's up into first place once again. And I think that might just be it for us, because the tyres are also starting to give out compared to his tyres. As we move on to lap 13, he is waltzing away from us now. We don't have DRS anymore, and so we're going to have to settle down for P2 in this Grand Prix. Remember, though, he's going to make a pit stop. Hamilton's going to make a pit stop behind us. So we are going to get back into first place and get track position. Then it will be a question of if we can maintain enough gap of time between myself and second place to kind of, you know, basically absorb that time penalty I'm going to get at the end of this Grand Prix. We move on to lap 15 then, and that pit stop time is going to come through, I think, on this lap, as Hamilton is closing up quite rapidly. So you can see the tyre wear is kicking in for us, and just a lack of pace at the moment here on these softs now. It's kind of the end game for us as we try and go and just survive then this Grand Prix out in first place, is where Hamilton will come in. Alonso's in also on the left-hand side there on the mini-map there. So he's in, Alonso's in, we're back up into first place. These guys will make that second pit stop. Looks like Alonso held up there. You can see right there, that's 5 seconds. I think Alonso also got a 5-place time penalty, but because he actually had a second stop to make, he could serve his time penalty under the actual pit stop. Of course, you can't serve a penalty under the safety car. That's not allowed. So if you're thinking I could have pit under the safety car and done it then, I can't. So Alonso definitely also got the same thing as me. So to be fair, I wasn't screwed over completely. Everyone got the same thing there. So me and Alonso both got that penalty, but the difference is I got screwed over because my intention was to never pit again in this race. I'd already made my pit stop before that incident of Sainz going slow. So very unfortunate, I guess, and very unlucky in a way, which is kind of weird because most of the time I get a lot of luck in these career modes, according to you guys. But yeah, Alonso makes the pass on the Toro Rosso car. He's back up into second place. Hamilton eventually back up into third. We're now on lap 20. 6 laps to go in this Grand Prix, and 6 laps to go. I'm feeling pretty good still about maybe maintaining first. The only real question mark to that at the end of the Grand Prix is, do I get a 5-second penalty or more than that for not making a pit stop and then the penalty there? And now there's an even bigger span in the works. Magnussen out of the Grand Prix, and the full safety car has been called out, and that is bad news for me. Usually I do like safety cars, they work in our favour. This one is not, because this is going to mean now Alonso will bunch up to me, and the entire grid will bunch up now. So even if I get a 5-place penalty, by the time, a 5-second penalty, by the time we move to lap 23 when the safety car comes in, I'm guessing, everyone will be so close that 5 seconds might be, 5 positions or 10 positions even. So this is going to be pretty bad news, and this is why the safety car was called out though. Engine failure for Magnussen, and he's going very slow on the main straight there. There's not actually a place to park up here, so I think that's why the safety car got called out, because it's a very awkward straight where there's maybe one place right there on the right hand side, but he doesn't even go for that. Looks like Magnussen's going to try and hobble back to the pit lane. No, not even that. He's going to park up in the most awkward position ever, and so my very first teammate from this career mode does me dirty here in Season 7, because here is the safety car coming in now. We're going to try and maintain P1 if we can. We've gone early here and bolted, and that's actually worked out for us. It's a great restart again for us on a safety car here, and we're going to maintain first place. But now look at the minimap. Everyone's so close to us. Even if we get the minimum 5-second penalty here, which I don't think is going to happen, because the stop go is meant to be a pit stop and 5 seconds, so I think we might get worse. This is going to be a pretty horrendous final result for us, I think, as we move on to lap 23 now. Alonso now attacking me for the race lead as we go on to lap 24. He's on the left-hand side. He's not got DRS, though, remember, because it's not activated yet after the safety car restart. So we cut across him into turn 1 on the inside there. Lock up from us, and he's a big old dive from the Spaniard there. He's up into first. We're going to try and get back at him, though, side by side, but we've not got too much side by side with him. We lock up badly on the front left. We're down to P2. Just a lack of momentum, a lack of tyre wear, really. It doesn't look too bad, but it felt a lot worse because, like I said, the soft tyres aren't a very good tyre to start with. So with just even a little bit of tyre wear, these tyres feel pretty horrendous around Baku. As we now move on to the last lap of the Grand Prix, we're still P2 then. Alonso really has walked away with this, and he's going to win this Grand Prix in a very dominant fashion then at the end of the day. And you can see the car now is very slidey indeed on the rear end and is very floaty in the mid-corner apex there of turn 1 and turn 2 as we graze the curbing, and Hamilton might have a go now on the last lap of the Grand Prix. It won't matter though, because look at the mini-map still. I don't think that's going to be enough of a gap for me to maintain these positions, and so we might have to only kind of accept maybe 1 or 2 racing points here in the championship, although, you know, better than nothing, but still, you know, 1 point or 2 points compared to 18 points here is going to be a really bitter pill to swallow, to be honest, as we now move on to the last few corners now of the last lap of the Grand Prix here. Very wide there. The car is feeling like a boat now with understeer, and Hamilton is side by side. He's gone for the move to the inside. We're side by side, neck and neck through the S section. We've maintained the trap position. He slowed down massively through the right-hander, and now look at that. The Toro Rosso, the 2 Red Bulls, they're coming through. It's going to be 3 wide across the line. Red Bull, Toro Rosso, Mercedes car, the other Red Bull so close behind, but we're going to come across the line for P2 on the road, but it's going to be P11. P11 as we end it with a penalty. It's a disaster.
Brilliant stuff from Renault today. What a superb victory. And Anthony Davidson, give me your thoughts. How did they accomplish this result?
Well, the safety car completely changed the race, didn't it? It's hard to say exactly what would have happened without it, but there's no question that they came out of that situation in a good position.
So today's episode is one of those days where the karma and the kind of balance of power comes back into the AI and the game's favour. Obviously, a lot of the time we do get a little bit lucky with the F1 game, and so this is one of those times where the game likes to bite back a little bit there, and we're down to P11. And there's no points for either myself or Leclerc, who's obviously out of the Grand Prix. So bad day in the office then for the entire team, really, with 2 no points finishes for the Alfa Romeo Sauber team. Alonso wins the Grand Prix, and he's looking very good at the moment there. We are way off him in terms of points. Obviously, I've come back from worse, I think, but that is going to be a tall order there. And I think Alonso, obviously, we know how consistent and good Alonso is in a good McLaren. This Renault is a much better car than that McLaren ever was, I think. And so I think a few of you guys have said this is going to be a dangerous combo to beat. And so at the moment, Gasly in second place, Verstappen in third, as Leclerc and myself go down to P4 and 5 respectively. Amazing photo finish, though, it was, I think, between Hamilton, Verstappen and that Toro Rosso car of Ocon, I think that was. So in the constructors, Red Bull also up into second place, so we're down to third. So we're going to have to try and really bounce back now at the next Grand Prix, the Spanish one, the start of the European season proper. But yeah, definitely a weird episode, a very fun one. It was a fun race, a chaotic race, but in the end, a little bit of bitter tasting because of that penalty we got there, which is such a weird one still, but there you go. And so we don't unfortunately get our contract objective, but that's not going to matter for the contract negotiation. We do successfully negotiate a very good contract, of course, because I don't need resource points. I could go lower on that, and I went quite high on the pit stop counter for that. So it's a very tailored contract to the situation, but nonetheless a very good one, I feel. And so that's been a very odd but fun episode nonetheless for the last episode of 2018. Obviously there will be a one pretty damn soon in 2019, guys, but if you guys did enjoy this one, then be sure to smash that like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're new around here, do subscribe for weekly full-on content. I've been Aarava. Hope you enjoy the rest of the day, guys, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.